Hi there, my name's Philip. Today I'll be presenting George Orwell's essay Shooting an Elephant and how it relates to Timothy Findley's novel The Wars. Now imagine being forced to kill, not because necessary, but because of being called weak. Imagine being trapped in an identity where you cannot make a choice, and being powerful means losing your faith in humanity. Orwell in Shooting an Elephant shows how authority can strip someone of their conscience and compel them to dispel violence as a matter of appearances and control. Through irony, symbolism, and animal representation, Orwell illustrates that the act of duty can obliterate morality in a way that echoes Robert Ross's own struggles in the wars. That the reality of war can turn compassionate acts into an inhuman act. To start, let me provide some context. George Orwell wrote Shooting an Elephant in 1936. The essay describes his experience as a police officer for the British Empire in Burma. In the essay, Orwell is called to deal with an elephant that has gone rogue. When he arrives at the scene, he realizes that the elephant was no longer a threat, but at this point, thousands of people had assembled in expectation of him shooting the elephant. Even though he does not wish to do it, he finds himself trapped in expectation, which means that if he does not kill the elephant, he will be considered weak and lose his authority. So, to protect his image and his power, he kills the elephant. The point is not only about an animal, it is about power, fear, guilt, and the use of violence to maintain power. These ideas connect directly to the wars and the challenges Robert Ross deals with in World War I. The first idea that I want to cover is power as performance. Orwell writes, and I quote, "I was and shall always be a man of my time. I often wondered whether any of the others grasped that I had done it solely to avoid looking a fool." Quote. And this is the heart of the essay. Orwell did not shoot the elephant because it was needed. He shot it because the crowd expected him to. His role as a colonial officer forced him to act against his own will. Power in this case is not strength, it is weakness. We see a similar idea in the wars. In the novel, Robert kills a German soldier at close range. He is described as almost mechanical, raising his revolver and firing without much choice. The war setting compels him into violence, even though killing goes against his sensitive and empathetic nature. This mirrors Orwell killing the elephant. Both acts are reluctant killings done under pressure, not genuine choices. The second big idea is conscience versus duty. Orwell states, and I quote, "It seemed to me that it would be murder to shoot him, but at that moment I looked round at the crowd." Quote. This shows his inner conflict. He knows it is wrong, but he cannot escape the pressure to act. His duty as a colonial officer wins over his conscience as a human being. Robert in the wars also faces conscience versus duty. He loves all creatures. He values compassion and attempts to hold on to his humanity. But as a soldier, his duty is violence, destruction, and compliance. He cannot help himself and continues to be forced to take actions that are in complete conflict with his own belief system. Both Orwell and Findley demonstrate that in systems of imperialism, like the one in the wars, morality is crushed by duty. Individual freedoms exist under very strict limits. The third and last idea is animal symbolism and dehumanization. The description of how the elephant died is very long. The intent is to extend feelings of suffering and creates a discomfort because the animal continues to collapse and lay their suffering and not die. It is disturbing that we empathize with humanity in the suffering elephant. Animals are symbols of innocence and purity in literature. Orwell destroys innocence in killing the elephant. This is directly relevant to the wars. In the wars, animals appear throughout the novel, many alluding to innocence and life. Early in the war, a horse breaks its leg, and Captain Leather orders it to be shot. Robert refuses, and the other soldiers punish him for disobedience. This reveals that the system's cruelty and Robert's resistance to senseless killing. The elephant and the horse are both innocent creatures made victims of human systems. The empire in Orwell's case, war in Findley's. The difference is Orwell gives in, while Robert resists, showing his struggle to hold on to compassion. Both Orwell and Findley use animal imagery to reflect the cruelty of human systems. The elephant and the horses both show how violence destroys the innocents, and how war and empire dehumanize both humans and animals alike. In conclusion, George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant is about a lot more than one instance. It is about how power works. Orwell illustrates how authority forces people into violent roles that are incongruent with their values. Through the themes of performance, conscience versus duty, and animal symbolism, the essay connects closely to the wars. Robert Ross, like Orwell, is trapped in a system that demands violence. Both characters are compassionate individuals forced into inhuman actions. Both Orwell and Findley remind us that power is rooted from the sacrifice of morals, and innocence often becomes the collateral damage. Thank you for listening to my speech.